The afternoon looked perfect, almost unreal. Sunlight spilled across Ravenstone Avenue like liquid gold, catching on polished glassware and marble tabletops where only the city's elite ever lingered. Luxury cars whispered past on cobblestones, their engines barely louder than the soft clink of cutlery. The air smelled of warm bread, basil, and money. At the center of it all sat Alistair Munro. His name didn't need an introduction. Billionaire. Strategist. A man who'd crushed competitors before breakfast and signed deals that reshaped markets by dinner. Alistair believed in control, absolute, calculated control. Life, to him, was predictable if you were smart enough, rich enough, disciplined enough. Surprises were for people who didn't plan well. And then, in the space of a heartbeat, everything shattered. A blur of motion cut through the calm. Bare feet slapped against stone. Chairs scraped. Conversations died mid-sentence. A small figure burst into the sunlight, weaving between waiters and startled diners, eyes wide with terror. She stopped at Alistair's table. Dirt streaked her cheeks. Her hair was a tangled mess, as if she'd slept more nights outside than inside. Her clothes hung loose and torn, stitched together with whatever scraps she could find. She looked no older than 9, maybe younger. Her chest heaved as if her lungs were on fire. She raised a shaking hand toward his plate and screamed with everything she had left. "Don't eat that." The words cracked through the air like glass shattering. "If you believe in kindness, compassion, and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support keeps stories like this alive." For a moment, time froze. Forks hovered inches from mouths. Conversations dissolved into stunned silence. This immaculate sanctuary of wealth had been violated by a child who didn't belong here, at least, that's what everyone thought. Alistair's first reaction wasn't fear. It was irritation. He looked at the girl the way he looked at unexpected variables in a deal, annoyed, suspicious, already calculating how to remove the disruption. Was she begging, scamming, trying to steal food? A security guard stepped forward, jaw tight, ready to drag her away. But then Alistair noticed her eyes. They weren't greedy. They weren't mischievous. They weren't calculating. They were terrified. The girl wasn't reaching for the food. She was pulling him away from it. Her entire body shook as if she might collapse at any second. Exhaustion clung to her like a second skin. And something deep, instinctive, whispered to Alistair that this wasn't chaos, it was a warning. Her name was Talia, though no one knew it yet. For 3 weeks, Talia had lived a life no child should ever know. Digging through trash behind restaurants, dodging angry shop owners, sleeping curled up in doorways and abandoned warehouses, always listening for footsteps that meant danger. Dangerous men roamed the nights, and she'd learned early how to hide, how to stay silent, how to survive. 2 nights ago, her world collapsed. Her mother didn't come back. She'd left Talia with a small cloth bag of stale breadcrumbs and a promise she never had the chance to keep. Since then, Talia had been alone, terrified, hungry, and running out of hope. Just minutes before she sprinted toward Alistair's table, Talia had been behind the restaurant, searching for scraps. That's when she saw him. A tall, thin man slipped out the back door, glancing over his shoulder. His movements were nervous, sharp. From his pocket, he pulled a small vial. Without hesitation, he emptied it into a bowl set on a tray, Alistair's order. Talia froze. She'd seen cruelty before. She knew what danger looked like. The man had a scar across his neck. His fingers trembled as he worked. And his eyes, cold, hollow, told her he wasn't there to cook. He vanished into the crowd before anyone noticed. Talia didn't know who the man at the table was. She didn't know what the powder was. She only knew one thing. Someone was about to die. So she ran. Back at the table, the security guard reached for her arm. "Enough," someone muttered. Alistair hesitated. "Wait," he said. The word surprised even him. The head waiter, flushed with embarrassment, lifted the plate with forced confidence. "Sir, there's nothing to." He sniffed it. His face changed instantly. His eyes watered. His hand shook. Without a word, he set the plate down and whispered urgently to another server, who sprinted inside. The restaurant manager appeared seconds later, pale and sweating. Then the chef burst through the doors, shouting for everyone to step back. The bowl was whisked away like a live grenade. Alistair's pulse roared in his ears. The chef returned, voice trembling, and explained that the dish had been contaminated with a toxic substance. In the wrong dose, it could have been fatal. Alistair leaned back slowly, the weight of what almost happened crashing down on him. He would have eaten it. He would have died, quietly, politely, surrounded by luxury. Saved by a barefoot child screaming in broad daylight. Everything else faded as he looked at Talia again. Really looked. The bruises. The hollow cheeks. The hunger. Courage it took for her to run toward danger instead of away from it. He asked how she knew. Her words came out shaky but steady. The alley. The man. The vial. The way her mother vanished. Sleeping on cold concrete. Being chased away everywhere she went. She didn't cry. Life had taught her tears were a waste. Something tightened in Alistair's chest. He'd built empires, broken rivals, conquered boardrooms, but standing there, he felt small. Human again. The police arrived. The kitchen staff identified the intruder as a recently fired employee with a violent past. Talia hadn't just saved Alistair, she'd stopped a threat that could have harmed others. An officer knelt beside her. "Where do you live, sweetheart?" Talia's answer barely rose above a whisper. "Nowhere." Mama didn't come back. The billionaire stood up. Without a word, he removed his coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. It swallowed her whole, heavy and warm. For the first time in days, she felt safe. He took her across the street to a small cafe, bought her food, real food, warm food, and he listened. Every detail, every memory, every place she'd searched for her mother. And then he made a promise only someone with his power could make. "You're not alone anymore." Detectives worked through the afternoon, and as the sun dipped behind the skyline, they found her. Talia's mother was alive, injured, trapped in a collapsed storage room. She'd been banging on metal for 2 days, unheard, losing hope, but never her daughter. When Talia ran into her arms, she finally cried. Alistair watched from a distance, understanding something he'd forgotten long ago. Sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest courage. If this story touched your heart, like, comment, share, and subscribe.